August 21st, and there's been a lot going on with the weather, and it's getting even more active. So many things to talk about. I'm weather and radar meteorologist Mary Mays. Welcome. If this is your first time joining in, I hope you are enjoying it. I am going to double check. August 21st, and okay, I had to double check and make sure that I'm actually streaming. And yeah, there's a ton of things going on, and we've been really focused over the weekend on Hilary, and right now it's a post-tropical storm, so it's kind of fallen apart, still producing a ton of rain. Let's take a look at the last 24 hours, and we're not talking about just Hilary in this live. We've got a lot of action happening in the Gulf of Mexico. A system is forming right now, and we have tropical warnings for South Texas. We also have a lot of action in the Atlantic. And on top of that, we have a massive heat dome still sitting over Texas. It is so much going on. And you can see that divide here from the remnants of Hilary, or what's left of Hilary, and, this big ridge of high pressure, and those temperatures already in the 90s, well into the 90s. So this is the last 24 hours, and you can see that Hilary made landfall in Baja California, moved into Southern California, and just brought a ton of rain, especially around Palm Springs. We had a lot of flooding, but had a lot of flooded highways, some landslides. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like there have been a ton of injuries or anything like that, which has been great news. There was a lot of preparation that went into this, and this was the first time ever that we had tropical storm warnings in Southern California. So this is a rare system. You do on occasion get tropical moisture moving up into Southern California, but in August you don't typically see this kind of a full-on tropical storm moving into Southern California. So it was definitely a very interesting situation. Things are improving, but there's still, closed roadways. Schools are closed today. They should reopen in a lot of spots tomorrow. There's just so much going on with this system. And not only has it brought a ton of rain to Southern California, upwards of 10 inches in some spots, we've also had rain in Arizona, into Nevada, up into Idaho, even into the northern plains. It's incredible how much rain we've seen, and wind too. So in the mountains in Southern California, there were gusts up to the mid 80s, so 84 miles an hour. So it was hurricane strength wind gusts in the mountains, and then at a little lower in elevation, there were gusts into the 40s, sustained wind. So it was a lot, and things are improving now. They're cleaning up the roadways, but there was a lot of erosion, a lot of flooding, and just a lot of issues. And it's not quite done yet. You can see here as we head into the rest of today, the moisture continues into the rest of California, all the way up into the northern plains. And we're still raining. We are still seeing these tropical kind of, the impacts of tropical moisture. We've got flood watches and warnings stretching from Nevada all the way up into here into northwestern Montana. The other thing I want to point out here in portions of eastern Nevada, western Utah, southern Idaho, and into portions of Montana as well, especially in those higher elevation areas, we've got high wind warnings, because it's not just a rain threat. Even though we are seeing quite a bit of rain with this, we're also seeing quite a bit of wind with this still. So it's not, as intense as it was before, but look at that, gust well into the 40s and beyond, some even seeing 50s. So it is a very windy day today, and that is why you've got those high wind warnings in those areas. So just a heads up, wind's an issue too. It hasn't been the biggest issue with this system. That's mainly been flooding, and you can still see there are some lingering flood alerts in Southern California. So we're not quite done yet. Folks are cleaning up. Things are starting to open up again, but gosh, was it a big headache for a lot of folks. So that's what's going on there, and I do want to show you very quickly our excessive rainfall outlook for today. And you can see it's a slight risk, and this goes from Utah through Nevada into California, Oregon, Idaho, all the way up into portions even of Montana. And that's just to show you that a ton of rain is still on the way, and some of these impacts, some of this tropical moisture does linger tomorrow. And then this takes me to what's going on in the Gulf. So we have another system that's quite active in the Gulf, and that's going to bring a pretty big rain threat to southern Texas tomorrow. So we're not done yet. You go over here and you see this red here, in southern Texas, those are tropical storm warnings because we have potential tropical cyclone number 9. And this is given when we're not sure if it's going to have enough time to develop into a proper tropical system. But we are watching this carefully because what we are seeing with this is, I'm going to see if I can get a kind of a closer look at the cone here. So we are likely to see this become a depression and then a tropical storm as it makes landfall. So it's going to be kind of cutting it short whether or not we get that happening, but it's going to be close. So you're likely going to see tropical storm force winds in southern Texas in addition to a ton of rain. So folks in these areas are needing to prepare for flash flooding, for landslides, especially in the mountains there, and South Texas coast, you could see some coastal flooding. So it's going to be tropical storm conditions, likely in parts of South Texas, especially along the coast. So that's one thing we're looking at. And then you see Franklin and Gert and Emily, and then a system here, a wave coming off the coast of Africa that has a 70% chance of development. So Emily's not an issue, but let's take a look at where Gert is headed. So there's so many things going on with Gert, just likely to become a depression. We're watching that one carefully. Still early days yet for Gert. For Franklin, this is going to be moving out. It will be an issue for the Caribbean, especially Puerto Rico, with heavy rainfall, likely some mudslides. We'll get a closer look here at this track. As it heads out into the Atlantic, it thankfully will curve out once it reaches hurricane strength, maybe bringing some waves to Bermuda, but right now Bermuda is not in the cone. So this doesn't look like to be a threat to the U.S. lower 48. However, we are keeping a close eye on that. So we've got Franklin, and then we have this wave here. That's another one we're going to be watching for. So that is 5 systems of some sort or another, varying strengths to watch out for. And right now we're watching potential tropical cyclone number 9, which I know is kind of a little bit of a tongue teaser there. We're going to be doing around the coverage on that tomorrow. We're going to have a live blog for that, watching the impacts, and it's just kind of packed how much stuff we have going on. So tomorrow that is going to be the spot to watch for flooding. And then as we go into day 3, you're still seeing the influence of some of that tropical moisture. Once again, today, what's left of Hilary is our biggest concern. And you're still likely to see flooding, especially through Nevada, into Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. High terrain areas especially at risk, mainly because of landslides and mudslides. So we're not done with that yet. So much going on with all of this. And with the system that we see potential tropical cyclone number 9 tomorrow, easily 4 to 6 inches of rain around Laredo in Texas there. So anywhere from Corpus Christi to Brownsville, you're likely going to see some coastal flooding in that area. And then really South Texas getting a lot of action. So that has the tropical system covered. Let's talk about the heat because it has been so incredibly intense. This is what's going on right now. We're already nearing 100. It's at 101 currently in Austin. And as we head into the rest of today, we're going to head, upwards of 100 degrees. It's going to be up to about 105. And you imagine, too, with the heat index values surging as well. We're seeing 97 in Lincoln today. It is hot. It's 95 at Nashville. So as you can see, we also have heat advisories and warnings stretching all the way up into the Midwest. So into portions of Wisconsin, Minnesota. This heat dome is expanding. So a lot of us are going to see intense heat as we head into the rest of the week. So there's a ton to talk about, a ton to watch for. You just have to keep an eye on things. Also, some spots here are like Wyoming and Nebraska. You click on this, that bright pink, these are red flag warnings. So this is in portions of Colorado, even into, not quite into Kansas, but mainly along the Front Range there. And throughout Wyoming, we've got red flag warnings. So fire is going to be a concern in these areas. So kind of a wild August, to be honest with you. There's so much going on, kind of getting a look at the big picture. If you want to stay up to date with us, we've got so many resources. So not only do we have, the Weather and Radar app or the Weather Radar here, which is what we're looking at right now. There's potential tropical cyclone number 9 There we go. I can see the picture of what we're seeing now. You can see all of these, there's Emily right there. There's that wave we're watching off the coast. There's so many systems you can keep an eye on using this, and you get 4 days of data. So you get today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. You can look forward that much. So let's take a look at what's happening for the rest of today and into tomorrow with South Texas. So you see these storms just rolling in, and this is all from potential tropical cyclone number 9. And you see the wind too. If you want to flip over and you want to look at the winds, here's what it's possibly going to look like tomorrow. And you can see just how gusty it gets. We can zoom into Corpus Christi here, and you see, upper 30s, tropical storm force winds moving through South Texas tomorrow. So not only do we have that, you can head over to weatherandradar.com if you don't have the app. If you do have the app, this is on your homepage, but we have what we call a task force hub. So we're going to have this up tomorrow as well, but this gives you all those links in one spot. So if you're not sure what you want to watch or what you want to look at in terms of weather information, it's all here. So we've got the Atlantic tropical update, what's next for Hilary, the potential tropical storm number 9, all of the forecasts you need, the analysis, everything you need, how to turn on your alerts, how to follow us on social media. It is all right here, and this is going to come in handy because things are getting really active, and we're likely going to be seeing our task force update in play at least a few times this week because of just how much we've got going on. It is incredible. So I hope that you guys are going to stay safe and paying attention to what's happening. So right now, very active. We're still keeping an eye on the remnants of Hilary. And once again, too, you can follow along on YouTube, on the Weather and Radar app, as well with Jonathan Petromala's coverage that we had yesterday. Some really impactful visuals of the, I-10, especially near Palm Springs, which saw a lot of flooding. And you can just see how this kind of system impacts the road systems in Southern California. And you see how the infrastructure is impacted, and it's quite incredible. But pretty much anything you want to see, we're always open to answering your questions. So thank you guys so much for watching this live stream. I hope you are staying as safe as possible, and we will be keeping you up to date this week because, gosh, there is a whole lot going on. I hope you stick with us, and have a great day.